In this video, we will talk about inner join. So the basic idea of inner join is returning the records that are matched in both tables. So it is an intersection of both tables. We will only select the records that have matching values in both tables. We will start talking about equality joins, which will link the rows throughout equivalent data that exist in both tables. So if I have some equivalent data that exists in both tables, this is what I will be using to link those tables. We'll be matching tables on a joining condition based on a matching key. So this is usually a primary key or a foreign key. And the output is going to be the intersection of those two tables. We will only include the records that match, and for any non-match record, we will just ignore that record. Let's see an example here that is going to clarify things. If I have two tables, namely new1 and new2, and then I have IDs in both tables, and I'm joining based on the IDs, as we can see right here. So what's going to end up happening is I will look for those IDs in the other table, and I'll look for those IDs in the first table. As we can see, number 4 appears in the first table, but it does not appear in the second table. Similarly, number 6 appears in the second table, but it doesn't appear in the first table. So those two records are going to be ignored, and then we will match all of the other records. Now, the resulting table is going to be an intersection between those tables. Keep in mind that this table is not going to be written to the database. It's something that is just going to be displayed to us. So let's see through an example how this works. So I start by describing two tables here, and my intention is I want to display the order numbers, which are order IDs, the dates, and the customer's full name for all orders in my database. Now if I look closely at the tables, so this is the customer's table. It only has customer information, the ID, last name, first name, address, and so on. So this is only customer information. It does not talk anything about orders. And if I describe the orders table, it's mainly about orders, but then it has customer ID. Now I have the customer ID in the customers table, and it is basically a foreign key to that table. So what I can do is I can link those two tables using the customer ID. So let me try to get that query. Since I want the order ID, order date, those are going to come from the orders table, and then the first and last name for the customer are going to come from the customers table. So I will go as select. I will start with order ID. Again, the order of those columns is not important, but it's going to judge how we display the columns. So you can start with any columns you want. Order date. So after that, I want the first and last name for the customer, but I wanted it as full name, so I will concatenate this. So concat first name, and then I will have some space in between, and I'll follow this by the last name, and those are going to come from customers table. And to make it pretty, let me say as customer name, and then these are going to be from both tables. Now I need both tables, so I will go from orders, comma, customers. Now if I leave this like this, it is going to be a Cartesian join, and if I run this, what's going to end up happening is I will match every single order to every single customer. So order number 1000 match to everybody, 1001 match to everybody, and so on. So now this is not what I wanted. I want each order to be listed right next to the customer's name. So I need to specify the matching condition. So I'll say where the ID in the customers table is the same ID in the orders table. So where customers dot customer ID is equal to orders dot order ID or customer ID. So I'm matching based on the customer ID, and see the change of the results that we'll get here. Now we got every single customer linked to their specific order. An issue that we may find ourselves in is column ambiguity. So right now in this query, I don't have any problem with column ambiguity, but if I want to select the customer ID within my results, so I want the customer ID and the customer name. So let me add it somewhere in here and try to run this. Now it ran the first queries, which are the describe, but then it gave me an error here saying that column customer ID in field list is ambiguous. That means this column exists in more than one table. So which one are you referring to? Is it the one in the customers table, or is it the one in the orders table? Now we know that the same customer ID is going to be present in both tables in this example, but in some other examples the column name may be the same but the content may be different. So what we need to do to resolve this is to follow what we did underneath. So I can either say customers dot customer ID or orders dot customer ID. Both will work the same in this specific example because both columns in both tables contain the exact same thing. Now sometimes this may be tedious to write the full table name, and this is going to require what we call column aliasing, which is what we'll cover in the next video.